It's a nice Sunday here. I'm all alone. Riley's at work. What we're going to be doing today is installing his pump cams rocker trunnion upgrade kit. Open it up here. We got some snap rings, some installation tools, new hardware, and the trunnions themselves. So all looks very nice. First step is to disassemble and take out all the factory trunnions. Just using a 7/8 socket, a little tool to press out the trunnions. So there's two different sides of the rocker. There's one with two bigger flats and one with, it's more of just a diameter. So I'm gonna line the socket up on the side with the two bigger flats. In the vise, I'd like to have a little press, but this is good enough. Kind of center it like that, and they pop out real easy. So factory trunnion and the roller bearing assembly. And just like that, we're down to a bare rocker arm. And before we, I gave these rockers a visual inspection just to make sure that we're not showing a bunch of wear on the tip or where the push rod kind of cup is. You can see how this one, it's kind of nice and shiny as compared to this one's wore out. You can see it's pretty dull in there, and you can see the cup is definitely starting to wear. So I just started with this one for practice, but you want to make sure obviously that you're transferring your trunnion kit into some decent shaped rockers. So these are all pressed out now, and I'm just going to read the instructions here and get set up for the next step. Make sure that you have the numbers of the roller bearing facing outside of the rocker, and I'll set one somewhat lined up. I just cut these aluminum strips here just to protect the bearing. You want to bottom that bearing out into the body of the rocker, just like that. And then you take the trunnion with the other bearing, ensuring that numbers are facing out. Slide that through. And then these are the two washers that they provide, and that sets the depth of the trunnion. Back into the vise. You kind of have to eyeball this one center. Just get it started. Bottom that out. That's it. So those are done. That was pretty easy. Factory rocker versus the trunnion upgrade rocker. One thing I did notice is there's lots of lateral movement in the factory rocker versus virtually none in the aftermarket trunnion. So I don't know if that'll help keep the tip of the rocker on the valve a little better, but I don't know, just seems like a tighter all-around deal. So the only thing left is the snap rings on the outside, but I don't have a snap ring set of snap ring pliers that are small enough, so that'll have to wait. But that's easy. Anyway, so that's done and out of the way, and we'll probably move on to dropping the lifters and lifter trays and valley cover and whatnot into his motor. All right, today we're going to be clamping the heads down. We're reusing the head gaskets. I did buy what I thought was a pair of new ones, but ended up being only one. One really expensive one. Yeah. So much for proofreading my Summit orders again. So these were new last season, of course, so they look pretty good. We're going to copper spray them and clean them up and clamp them down. So We got the decks, we got the lifters in, the trays are torqued down, decks are cleaned up with some brake clean, so we're just gonna finish spraying these gaskets, or cleaning the gaskets, spray some copper coat, and we'll torque these heads down. We got those copper sprayed, set the heads on. I like a little bit of oil on the thread, and then a little oil under the head. We'll get these torqued down, and then we'll do everyone's favorite torque to angle method with the phone. That's a degree or two between friends. We're torquing them down to 265 inch-pounds. Step 1, working from the middle outwards. Step 2 and 3 are both 90 degrees, except the 2 end head bolts, which are 50 degrees. So
that's an easy enough angle. We can just go, like this one's got the ratchet movement in it.
Yeah, so it's pretty easy to go 90 degrees.
Just line it up and then go. All right.
Good. What do you think of that fucking project vehicle that showed up yesterday?
After some work, it'll definitely be a nice cruiser or whatever it ends up being. But
yeah, it needs some work, but I don't know. And I agree with everyone's comments. That box is not my favorite thing in the world, but beggars can't be choosers, and I'm sure we'll find the right box for it eventually. Squirrels are probably
having a field day.
Having a heyday in it.
Gotta get the cat on watch.
All right, don't let me distract you from your torque sequence. Don't miss any.
Definitely not.
All right, so we're moving on to checking push rod length. So the push rods that we used last year were these BTR units, and they measured 7.350, 80 thou wall. Stock ones are 7.4. The reason they're 50 thou shorter is because we ran the LS7 lifter, which some people say it's true, some people say it's false, but apparently the plunger is 50 thou higher than a regular truck lifter. So anyway, last year we were on the, I'd say the short side with lifter preload at about 40 thousandths, if I recall. So because we milled 40 thousandths off of these heads, we should automatically gain 40 thousandths of
30.
Or sorry, we milled 30, good catch. We milled 30 thousandths off the head, so we should pick up that directly in our lifter preload, and that's what we're checking right now. We have an adjustable push rod checker, but my fingers are so fat that you can't even get in there and adjust it. So what we're doing is we're just bringing it out in increments until we have no preload. I mean, if this valve cover rail wasn't so high, you'd be able to get in there and adjust it. We'll take this rocker back off, and the reason I've got 2 other rockers on here is just to have the rocker arm mounts nice and square where they should be. So we'll back that rocker out and we'll bring it in like 5 thou and we'll check it, and we should have some, I think we're right at 0 right now, but we'll just double check that by bringing it in 5 thou. Carefully take this out without turning it. And this is our 0 lash setting right here, and it comes in at 7.305, and we've got 7.350 push rods, so that's still only 50 thousandths of preload. Yeah, I mean, that's going to give us 50 thou. I mean, I guess that's, if you take away 25 of that, that's kind of where we were last year, and that's what we took off the deck. So it's a little on the loose side, but like I say, they're BTR push rods. They're good push rods. I'd hate to not use them. You didn't have any valvetrain noise last year.
No.
No clacking. So I think we'll start with these anyway. I don't think we're going to have an issue. So
yeah,
we'll give those a blowout and send those back home. All right, so we just scooted right along.
Yeah.
We got the valve train set up on both sides. Put the intake valley cover on, taped up the ports for now. So really, that's kind of it for the motor, except we need to figure out fuel rail.
Yeah.
Set up with the Gen 4 intake. We're gonna leave the map sensor here, I think, so we need to extend the wires in the car to the map sensor. And we'll have to drill and tap a plug for here. And we need to, we'll have to fabricate some sort of throttle cable mount for here.
Yeah.
And our vacuum port. And I'm not sure what happens to this one. If this one gets plugged, I'm not sure. But yeah, that's kind of her. We'll have to get the water pump on and stuff like that.
Definitely clean it up, give it a bath.
Well, yeah, you're supposed to do that last week. There's the balancer. We're gonna heat that up in the toaster oven tomorrow night, and we'll get that on there. It's a pretty nice piece. Comes with a with the smaller alternator pulley to keep your amperage up. And even though our crank isn't keyed, this balancer comes with a keyway if you were to key your crank. So that's a nicer looking piece. Holy crap. And safer. Yeah, it's a different looking motor with that TBSS intake versus the low profile LS1 up there.
I might, not this year, but eventually I might do somewhat like what Rob has on the Nova. Smooth some of this bumps and ridges off.
Yeah, it's only time.
Yeah, for now it's just gotta fit, which I don't think that's an issue with the new head.
Yeah, so. All right, until whether it's tomorrow night or one night with this week, well, like I say, we gotta start fitting up fuel rails and get that figured out before we get it in the motor or the engine bay. Yeah. We also got Riley an adjustable proportioning valve that we want to get inside the car with the engine out because it'll be easier. Dial in those rear brakes, and yeah, so we'll pick this video back up in a day or two. All right.